Hey humans, welcome back to otro videito más. So today, at the request of some of you, we're going to be testing out the 16-35 f4 power zoom versus the 16-35 f2.8 GM from Sony. We're gonna put them side by side and see which one is better. And I'm mainly going to test sharpness in the center and the corners and chromatic aberration. That's about it. So let's get to it. And just because some of you ask, I decided to go ahead and buy this lens focus calibration alignment ruler. Gosh, what a mouthful. So the way this works is that you open up your lenses to the widest aperture you can. So in our case, it's f2.8 for the GM and f4 for the power zoom. And then you just focus right there in the center. And then you look at the zero on both sides. And you basically see if the narrow line that gets created because of the narrow depth of field, if it's on the same lines on both sides. And if it is, then your lens is calibrated. So awesome. But I'm gonna use it mainly for chromatic aberration. And I also bought this lens test chart. You can see right here, they sent me 3, so I put one in the middle, and because these two lenses are so wide, I had to expand it a little bit. Nothing super professional, I'm just getting into the testing of things. So you guys ask, so I will deliver. Let's go into Lightroom and show you what I found. Alright, so let's start here. On the right, we have the f2.8. On the left, we have the f4 power zoom. These two in particular, they are both at f4. So if we keep zooming in to the center, around 1000%. At the center, we can see that the GM is slightly, but like slightly sharper. Let's go to the corners. All right, so here's where the difference comes in. Do I even have to say anything? I mean, you can see it clear as day. I mean, this looks like 3D glasses, and this obviously looks super clear. So when it comes to chromatic aberration, I mean, the f2.8 GM just sucks in comparison to the f4 power zoom. I have to say that on the f2.8, the image is a little bit soft on the corner compared to the f4. Now remember, this is both at f4. So let's switch. All right, so here we go. We got the f2.8 on the G Master, and then we got the f4 on the f4 power zoom. But if we zoom in, I still think the GM is sharper in the center, but there's not that much CA here in the center, which is good. If we go back out, we go all the way to this corner again. Yeah, we at. Let's hop in. Go a little closer, closer. Yeah, you can see it. It is there. It is hard to miss. You can see the difference. It's just night and day. But yeah, remember, this is the f2.8 G Master lens, and this is the f4 power zoom. This is why I keep saying that the G Master lens needs a new refresh. The 16-35 definitely needs a version 2. So they go to the f4 at almost 35. Looks like I messed up. And then here, let's go to the 35mm at f2.8. Now let's go back to the center. Now we have the f4 power zoom at f4, and we have the f2.8 at f2.8, both at roughly 35mm. So let's zoom in here and look at the center. Now at 35 here in the center, you can see a little bit of CA, ever so slightly. Yeah, there's a little bit, nothing to be concerned about. Now let's go back to that corner and see how we're looking. So this is at the 35 end. Okay. All right, so not super bad. What do you think? I think this looks pretty good. Honestly, this is so weird, and honestly it looks sharper. It looks like the shutter speed was different between the f2.8 and the f4 because the f4 was a 1/80th of a second and the f2.8 was a 1/100th of a second. I don't know how much of a difference because I did it with a tripod and with a 2-second timer, so that shouldn't be an issue at all. But what do you think? Honestly, the 35 at 2.8, I think looks a lot better than the 35 at f4 from the power zoom. I think it looks a lot sharper than the f4, and in the center is the same situation. It does have a little bit of CA down in the center right here. We have the power zoom here. We got the G Master right here. And so let's zoom in to the center. You can clearly tell that this is the f4 power zoom because the one up here is a little bit more in focus than the one on this one. But let's get in here. Let's get a little bit closer. Oof. So you can see all that CA. I mean, you can barely tell that's a line. With the f4, at least you can tell that it is an actual line. Obviously, when we zoom back out, we clearly see it's a line. But if you're pixel peeping, like we're doing now, you can see the difference. All right, so we are at 16 millimeter on both. We got the f4 here, power zoom, the f2.8 at f4. With the f4 power zoom, the 16 millimeter is a bit wider. Why? Because the lens is not as long, which is kind of a thing to consider. You're probably getting like a 15 millimeter here just by having a shorter barrel. It's quite a difference. These are both at 16 millimeters, but as you can see, there is more field of view on the f4 power zoom than there is on the f2.8 G Master. If you want a little bit more reach on that 16 millimeter side, maybe get the power zoom because it does have a little bit more reach. I'm willing to say that this is like a 15 or maybe like a 14.5 millimeter. You can clearly see right here, there's a lot more to see. Wow, I was not expecting that, but that's what you find out. But now let's look up here at the defocus area, and you can see there is a ton, I mean, just a ton of CA. This lens, the f4 power zoom, is definitely better. That lens is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So what do you think? I mean, the difference is clear. The f4 is definitely a lot better when it comes to chromatic aberration. Like, it's a night and day kind of thing. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. Would you get the f2.8 or would you get the f4 power zoom? I think I'm gonna stick with the f2.8 because it has superb resale value. I mean, that lens still goes for $1,700, so it definitely has better resale value than this one. So me personally, I'm keeping the 2.8. Definitely let me know down in the comments below which one would you buy if you didn't have any of them, or would you change if you had the f2.8? Would you buy the f4? Also, make sure you like this video. It really does help the channel, and don't forget to subscribe for a chance to win a camera cage kit of your choosing. But yeah, I thought I would see you.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.